I am moderating this conversation today about why you should be thinking about investing in the United States and why Arizona. I'm proud and pleased to have the most distinguished group ever assembled to handle that question. Thank you, Consul General Muto, for your leadership and your collaboration. You'll be helping with the kickoff here today for our conversation. In the meantime, I have the very distinct pleasure of introducing the Honorary Consul of Japan in the state of Arizona, Mr. Kelly Moore. He is an institution in Arizona. His leadership with the Japanese school here, the Japanese Friendship Garden, and the largest Japanese festival, the Arizona Matsuri in the United States, he has been a key component with that for decades. Kelly is also the recipient of the Japanese government's Order of the Rising Sun for contributing to promoting exchange and friendly relations between Japan and the United States. It's my distinct honor to kick off this program with Mr. Kelly Moore.
My name is Kelly Moore, and I am, as Doug said, the Honorary Consul of Japan in Phoenix. I'm also an Arizona native. Let me go through a little bit of history of Japan and Arizona. And I was doing a little bit of research, and this is sort of a well-known fact for Arizona people, but our history is probably about 140 years old. One of the earliest immigrants to Arizona from Japan was Mr. Hachiro Onuki, and he arrived in the mid-1880s. And Mr. Onuki was a miner and a farmer and a businessman. And he is remembered as the founder of the Phoenix Illuminating Gas and Electric Company, which became today's Arizona Public Service Company, one of the state's largest power companies. Through the first half of the 20th century, Japanese in Arizona were associated with truck farming and the still famous Japanese flower gardens that were situated along miles of Baseline Road. Early agricultural roots have evolved into a rich economic and cultural relationship. Phoenix has an almost 40-year-old sister city relationship with the city of Himeji. In addition to teacher, student, and governmental exchanges, an early collaboration between the two cities resulted in the Japanese Friendship Garden, a classically designed Japanese garden located in downtown Phoenix, complete with a tea house. It serves as a venue for events celebrating Japan. My current background picture is taken at the garden. We have also, as Doug mentioned, an annual Arizona Matsuri, or Japanese festival, and it features the art, music, and food of Japan. Between 75,000 and 100,000 people attend each year's Matsuri. It is rated as one of the top 10 cultural festivals in the United States. And Japan has a large Chuzain, or expat population, and there are institutions to help support the Chuzain and their families. One of these, and a very important one, is Arizona Gakuen. It's a Hoshuko, or a Saturday school, as the kids like to call it, and it teaches academic subjects in Japanese. And included in these subjects are Kokugo, Sansu, Rika, Shakai. Class levels range from kindergarten to high school. There are currently 18 teachers and around 240 students. The Japanese Business Association of Arizona offers support to companies locating to Arizona. Finally, Arizona has grocery stores specializing in food and goods from Japan. It also has affordable housing and a great climate, if you don't count July and August. Now I would like to introduce a great friend to the people of Arizona, Consul General Akira Muto from the Consulate General of Japan in Los Angeles. Mr. Muto, please.
Hi, thank you, Kelly. I'm Akira Muto, Consul General of Japan in LA, but I also cover Arizona. It is my great honor to join so many distinguished panelists and guests today, and to hear greetings from both Arizona senators and other elected leaders, including Mayor Gallego today. My office is located in Los Angeles, and as many of you know, my office is ably represented on the ground by our honorary consul, Kelly Moore, who, along with Doug Brunke of the Global Chamber, helped put this program together. Arizona and Japan enjoy extraordinarily strong grassroots relations on many levels, including cultural events highlighted by the annual Arizona Matsuri. And in addition, business relations are growing stronger year by year. In 2018, the total stock figure of foreign direct investment into Arizona from Japan totaled $5.24 billion, second only after your closer neighbor, Canada's total of about $11 billion. Unfortunately, COVID restrictions haven't allowed me to travel to Arizona as frequently as I would wish. So I am delighted to see some familiar faces today and very happy to make some new acquaintances during this forum. Some of today's panelists will be discussing in more detail Japan's investment and business profile in Arizona. So I will let the experts have their say on those topics. But let me say that for many Japanese companies, Arizona's welcoming attitude and can-do spirit has been very attractive. That, in combination with relatively low business costs, good human resources, some attractive and growing business clusters, I think these are all factors that deserve more attention from the Japanese business community. And since this is a state that celebrates both a pioneer culture and history, it also happens to be one of the fastest growing and innovative states in the United States. I imagine that tackling new challenges and exploring new ideas are a part of Arizona's DNA. I know our speakers will cover investment opportunities and forward-looking sectors in Arizona, but if I could take the liberty of adding my own input into that discussion as well, I would like to suggest that hydrogen energy could play an important role in Arizona's energy future. The government of Japan has targeted year 2030 for the creation of a hydrogen society in my country. But I can also say that Japan is looking for collaborative projects to help build a hydrogen society, not only in Japan, but also possibly in Arizona, and from here to the rest of the United States and beyond. Last autumn, I was able to meet with the CEO of Nikola Motors, Mark Russell, at their Phoenix headquarters. And while they are a startup with a long road ahead of them, I think their overall vision for the production of hydrogen in Arizona to power fuel cell trucks is very compelling. I was also impressed by his idea of forming a global standard for the utilization of hydrogen. Of course, this is just one of many potential topics for today's conversation. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on how Japan can find new opportunity in your state and how Japanese investment can play a role in building Arizona's economy going forward. Thank you.
Doug, you're muted, Doug.
Yeah, Doug, you're muted. The famous words of 2020 and 21, Doug.
Thank you very much. Exactly right. Thank you, Consul General Muto. Thank you for your leadership and thank you for your collaboration. We really appreciate you kicking things off here. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker. It's Sanjeev Kagram. He's the Director General and Dean of Thunderbird School of Global Management. It is the #1 business school in the world, and where else would it be but Phoenix, Arizona? So Sanjeev, thank you for your leadership. The new building that's being built right now is right behind you, and we look forward to hearing more about your kickoff, and you're going to talk a little bit about FDI as well.
Yes, sir. And Doug, we thank you for your leadership. Consul General Muto-san, we are so honored and privileged to have you. Honorary Consul Kelly Moore, Senator Mike Kelly, and Senator Sinema, Mayor Gallego, All protocols observed. My great friends, Chris Camacho, Stefan, and everybody. It's an honor and privilege on behalf of the 46,000 distinguished alumni of the Thunderbird School of Global Management worldwide in 140 countries, including nearly 2,000 in the country, incredible country of Japan. We are just delighted and honored to be your partners. I am going to share my screen and just share a few slides. So if you could just give me 1 second, we will get that going. And it'll be, I hope, informative to everybody. Let's do that and bring it up here. There we go. So I'm going to do a slideshow here. Here we go. So let me begin with FDI in Arizona and the United States. 850 international employers have operations in Arizona. International companies support 80% of the new manufacturing jobs created in the past 5 years. Our incredible mayor, Gallego, has been a real champion and a leader, and we're so delighted that we still have her at least for the next 5 years. International in this area, international companies spend more than $67 billion on U.S. R&D activities, or 15% of all R&D. U.S. workers of international companies produce 24% of U.S. exports, shipping $395 billion in goods to customers around the world. For every U.S. job at an international company, 3 more are supported in the U.S. economy. And international companies pay 17% of all federal corporate income taxes. These investors in Arizona employ 120,000 workers, and we know that's growing tremendously. And we believe that not only with the great new investment with semiconductors from Taiwan, but investment from around the world, thanks to the leadership of our mayor and the Greater Phoenix Economic Council and many others, and our partnerships with Japan and the Consul General, more is on the way. In fact, Arizona FDI employment grew over twice as fast as the state's overall private sector employment for 2013 and 2018. And you can see the statistics. Working international companies earn 20% higher, $83,000 annually. Nationally, 7.8 million US workers are employed by international companies. It's a remarkable part of our economy and one that needs to continue to grow, particularly as we recover from the pandemic. Encouraging strategies. Pro-investment policy at the national, state, and county levels, and the city level, we have to include. We know that the state of Arizona is an incredibly welcoming state in so many different ways, forming trade and investment agreements with foreign countries. Obviously, we're looking forward to more of that as we go forward. Low corporate tax rate. Arizona already has a fairly low rate and is incredibly competitive. We have incredible organizations like the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, and many others supporting the entry of companies from Japan and around the world into our great state. We have one of the most highly skilled labor forces in the country and the world, increasingly so. I will put out a plug for our home institution, Arizona State University, and of course, University of Arizona and Northern Arizona University. The higher education landscape of the state is incredible and transforming, and has done remarkably well despite the pandemic. And of course, infrastructure is a big part of that. So we have a lot of the enabling conditions. I won't go through all of these, but I want to focus in particular on opportunities for Japanese companies compared to neighboring states. Although we are very close and we have great partnerships, right, Mayor Gallego, with Mayor Garcetti of Los Angeles and California more generally. There is incredible opportunity here in Phoenix and Arizona. There's a significant increase of FDI to AZ over the last 10 years. Japanese FDI, as the Consul General was mentioning, has been increasing remarkably despite the domestic population in decline in Japan. And so we know that that's a huge part of Japanese foreign policy and national economic policy. And of course, Japan has the technology advantage, and Consul General mentioned the hydrogen society. So we look forward to being great partners in that hydrogen economy and new world together. Thunderbird, I have to be very specific, is growing dramatically. We've grown 105% over the last 2.5 years, 86% since the pandemic. And we have developed a strategy of having 25 to 30 regional centers of excellence around the world, including that great building headquarters that Doug mentioned behind me. And one of the most important one, is in Tokyo that we launched 2 years ago. And these are the range, and our alums in Japan have been incredible partners, as has been the government of Japan, It is an incredible place alongside our great partners, Harvard Business School, the World Economic Forum, and ISE. We also know that Japan's the third largest economy. 10% of Fortune 500 exist in Japan. So many opportunities to grow and partner. I'm very excited to announce that we have a partnership with Hiroshima University to launch a Thunderbird ASU HU Global Campus, which will launch in August, where we'll have students taking US degrees from Thunderbird and ASU from Japan and the region, and then also coming to Phoenix and Arizona. Over time, we expect this to grow to 1,000 or 2,000 students. So this is some of our most distinguished Japanese alumni, and I know the Consul General knows many of them. They are incredibly excited about Thunderbird's global expansion and work in Japan, but also helping Japan and the United States, and particularly Arizona, develop deeper ties in every way. And as we mentioned, we would welcome the Consul General and all of our colleagues here for our grand opening of this new global headquarters. So I will stop sharing and just say thank you so much. I hope that this information provided some context of where we are. Arizona, Maricopa, and certainly the great city of Phoenix are an incredible destination for all peoples from around the world and partnerships, and certainly with our wonderful colleagues and partners from Japan. We at Thunderbird are hosting Phoenix Global Rising to make Phoenix a global city with the leadership of Mayor Gallego. And we know that the future is bright for Japanese-US relations, and particularly Japanese-Arizona and Phoenix relations. Thank you so much. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Really appreciate it. We are now going to hear from one of our senators, Senator Mark Kelly. While we queue up the video, I would just want to say a couple things about his background. He is a naval officer. He's also a former astronaut. Senator Kelly was sworn into the Senate seat on December 2nd, 2020. That finished the term of the late Senator John McCain. He lives in Tucson, Arizona with his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. Senator, please.
Hello, I'm Senator Mark Kelly. Really sorry that I can't join you all live, but I appreciate you coming together today and your interest in Arizona. Now, I've served my country in the Navy, then at NASA, and now it's my honor to continue my service by representing Arizona in the United States Senate. Arizona is a beautiful and growing state. We're home to the Grand Canyon, a treasure for our entire planet that I can say looks just as impressive from space as it does up close. Arizona is also home to a growing economy and a talented workforce, which is why many companies are choosing to grow their operations in our state. There are 3 world-class universities in Arizona, 1 in each region of the state. These universities and our community colleges are engines for our economy, investing in research and preparing students for the future. Arizona is also home to a growing renewable energy sector. On average, Phoenix has about 300 days of sunshine per year, and we're poised to be a leader in solar energy. I know that renewable energy innovation is a priority for many of you, and there are few better places to do that than in Arizona. Already, Japan ranks 2nd in foreign direct investment in Arizona, supporting tens of thousands of jobs. I look forward to that growing as Japan and Arizona continue to have a strong, mutually beneficial economic relationship. Enjoy today's webinar.
Thank you, Senator Kelly. Really appreciate your comments. We're now going to queue up the next video from our other senator in Arizona, Senator Kyrsten Sinema. We're kind of uniquely connected to Senator Sinema because she, prior to becoming a senator, she was the representative, the US representative that covered our previous headquarters for Global Chamber at Skysong. And so we got to know her over the last 10 or 12 years as someone who is very interested in business, very conscious of international business. And we really appreciate all that she has done to grow her knowledge of the world. And now as a senator, I think she's already demonstrated that her knowledge of the world and of trade is very important, including her support of several different issues, which she's going to talk about right now. So without further ado, Senator Kyrsten Sinema.
Thank you, Doug, and the Global Chamber for having me today. It's an honor to join Consul General Akira Muto and all of you today. In addition to Arizona's incredible weather and delicious food, the great state 48 has long been home to globally minded, innovative businesses, and we welcome new investment in our state with open arms. At the state level, Arizona's regulations and taxes are much lower than in some of our neighboring states, and our cost of living remains affordable. And Arizona's universities lead the way in research and innovation. The University of Arizona's leadership in space innovation has helped make Arizona the fourth biggest state in the country for aerospace and defense manufacturing. My alma mater, Arizona State University, was recently named the most innovative university in the country, beating schools like MIT and Stanford. Over the past year, ASU's Biodesign Center brought together innovators and creators to develop solutions to the coronavirus's many challenges. The Institute's model of collaboration shows how the public and private sectors can work together to make positive change. ASU is also helping our frontline healthcare workers, manufacturers, and researchers build tangible, scalable solutions as part of the COVID-19 response and in preparation for future pandemics. I'm proud to advance Arizona's leadership in the Senate, where I'm working across the aisle to expand investments, create jobs, and grow business opportunities across the state. I was recently named chair of a key Senate panel tasked with regulatory reform. I look forward to continuing my efforts alongside Republican Ranking Member James Lankford, cutting red tape so businesses that call Arizona home have the freedom to grow and create more jobs. As a member of the Banking Committee, I successfully passed into law my bipartisan long-term renewal of the Export-Import Bank last Congress, allowing Arizona businesses and manufacturers to continue competing abroad. The Export-Import Bank has financed nearly $2 billion in exports from Arizona over the past 6 years. Renewing the Export-Import Bank levels the playing field so our employers can sell more products overseas and create more jobs here at home. Being a lifelong Arizonan, I know that cross-border trade means more American jobs, a stronger economy, and greater opportunities for everyday families. That's why I worked with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to advance the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The USMCA was not a partisan issue for Arizonans. Rather, we saw it as a common sense step supported by Democrats, Republicans, and business and labor leaders across our state. I'll continue calling on leaders in both parties to repeal harmful tariffs so our businesses and workers have the certainty they need to compete and succeed. I'm focused every day on what I can do to help Arizonans get ahead, and that's what fuels so much of my work. So thank you all, and I hope you have a productive day today. I pledge to work closely with all of you to continue making Arizona a great place for businesses to call home.
Thank you, Senator Sinema. And while we're queuing up the next presentation by Senator Watson, I just wanted to say a couple words about what you saw there. That was Kyrsten Sinema when she was representative, and she was hosting Ambassador Fujisaki, the U.S. ambassador, or the ambassador to the United States, several years ago at the Frank Lloyd Wright Taliesin West. And so Ambassador Fujisaki came to Arizona at that time, and the leading politician, certainly one of the leading politicians, was then Representative Kyrsten Sinema. So you saw her at Frank Lloyd Wright's winter home in Scottsdale, Arizona. Our next speaker is Sandra Watson of the Arizona Commerce Authority, and I think we have that video right now.
Hello, I'm Sandra Watson, President and CEO of the Arizona Commerce Authority. It's an honor to join you today. My thanks to the Global Chamber and the Consulate General of Japan in Los Angeles for inviting me to speak to you about the many exciting things happening in Arizona. Technology has always changed the way we live and work, yet the transformations taking place today, especially those driven by the pandemic, are unprecedented in their speed, scale, and complexity. While these changes may be unsettling to some, in Arizona, we have a different perspective. Where others see uncertainty, we see opportunities for innovation and exponential growth. Under Governor Ducey's leadership, our state has established a reputation as the best place to test, launch, and scale new ideas, and new business models. Our focus is on ensuring that government acts as a partner to private industry, not a barrier. As a result, our state is recognized as a leader in innovation, emerging technology, and entrepreneurship. Companies in Arizona are doing groundbreaking work to solve global challenges, from increasing access to fresh water, enhancing agriculture with automation, manufacturing the next generation of semiconductor chips, to shaping the future of transportation with electric and automated vehicles, and so much more. These innovative solutions are being pioneered right here in Arizona, thanks to the pro-business climate created by our leaders. Alongside forward-thinking policies, Arizona provides another critical component to the success of growing companies, an abundance of highly skilled talent. Just recently, Maricopa County was ranked #1 in the nation for talent attraction and retention. Arizona's talent pipeline is supported by world-class colleges and universities, including Arizona State, which has been ranked the most innovative university in the nation for an unprecedented 6 consecutive years. ASU currently has more than 100,000 students, with 25,000 enrolled in engineering-related degree programs alone. The University of Arizona in Tucson is making its mark as well. And last year, they received a $26 million National Science Foundation grant to lead the Center for Quantum Networks. This places Arizona at the forefront of quantum computing, which will transform medicine, finance, data security, artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and smart devices. At the community college level, we've created many unique sector partnerships with industry leaders, including the Arizona Advanced Technologies Network, providing a standard statewide curriculum to meet the needs of high-tech manufacturers, and the nation's first Artificial Intelligence Associate Degree Program, presented in partnership with Intel. Furthermore, Arizona's location in the southwestern United States allows companies to operate in an environment that enhances their growth, while providing efficient access to customers and suppliers in some of the world's largest economies, including California, Mexico, and Texas. For doing business on a global scale, there's no better place than Arizona. We have made it our mission to ensure our state is the best location for high-tech businesses to compete and win. But don't just take my word for it. Our success in achieving this mission is reflected in the many industry leaders who are doing business right here in Arizona, including TSMC, Apple, Waymo, Zoom, Intel, Lucid Motors, Nikola, Raytheon, Honeywell, Boeing, and many others. These companies are part of a vibrant technology ecosystem in Arizona, one that provides a valuable network to tap into. Governor Ducey and our team at the Arizona Commerce Authority stand ready to assist businesses that are evaluating their next location for growth in the U.S. We would welcome a conversation about the many advantages Arizona has to offer, and I invite you to visit azcommerce.com to learn more and to contact us directly. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Sandra. Is Jeff Shumway in the room? Let's see. I don't see Jeff. Jeff is the Executive Vice President at Arizona Commerce, and I don't see him here. I think he wanted to say a few words, so we'll reserve his comments for the Q&A section. And so now we're going to switch to we're going to go to Mayor Kate Gallego. So Mayor Gallego, I believe, is at a mayor's conference. So she's taken some time aside to be able to be with us, not just for some comments about what she's doing with the city of Phoenix and how that helps Japanese companies be successful, but she's also going to be sharing a little bit about Phoenix Global Rising, which is a new initiative. Mayor Gallego is the second elected female mayor in Phoenix history. She's also the youngest big city mayor in the United States. She graduated from Harvard University and she earned an MBA from Wharton School of Business, and she actually filled out the forms all by herself, and she deserves every bit of not just being in Wharton and Harvard, but graduating from both schools. And you're going to be able to tell that she is a really smart lady and a great leader. Mayor Gallego, please tell us a little bit more about the city of Phoenix and how it welcomes Japanese companies.
Wonderful. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for convening this very important conversation, the Global Chamber, and you have been such important partners with Phoenix. Consul General Muto, it is wonderful to see you again. We love having you in Phoenix, and Kelly Moore is doing a great job for the Japanese relationship between Phoenix, Arizona, and Japan. So thank you. I'm also thrilled to be here with so many important partners, including the Greater Phoenix Economic Council and Thunderbird, who are helping us build a more global city. Phoenix is the 5th largest city in the United States and the fastest growing. It's a very exciting place to invest, and I hope that you will like what you hear today and check us out. People have said it before, but I think it's worth repeating. It is a great climate for investment. We want to work with you and we welcome you here. We have Arizona State University, which is the largest producer of college graduates. And that is just one aspect of our amazing workforce and people who are here. There's a reason we are the fastest growing fastest growing city. People are excited about what's happening here and the opportunity. Our city gets its name because it was built on canals that our Native community used to irrigate the valley and turn it into an agricultural destination. And then our more modern founders used that same infrastructure to help the city grow up from the remains or ashes of that previous civilization. But today we often talk about the Phoenix Rising and the opportunity. We are ranked as one of the cities that is best for entrepreneurship, where you can come here and grow a business, but we're also a major destination for foreign direct investment. If you read this month's Fortune magazine, it highlights some of the work that we have been doing with GPEC and other partners, including the Commerce Authority, on advanced manufacturing and why we are a hub for that type of investment, really for the entire planet. We're also a great leader in biosciences, and we have some great Japanese companies that are making investments in that area. We hope you will be interested in joining them. Honorary Consul Moore had alluded to this, but some of our great companies from the very start have Japanese founders or founders with Japanese ancestry, and it's not just the ones that are providing the electricity that I'm using to speak to you today, but also newer companies. One of our phenomenal tech startups, WebPT, founded by Heidi Janenga, who is on this Zoom today and is really a highly recognized entrepreneur, but has that heritage from Japan. And she's just one of many folks with those deep ties in our community. We hope that those of you who are watching who have not yet invested in Phoenix will join her and see why this is the right place to grow your company. About 9% of our foreign direct investment is from Japan right now, but we're hoping to see more. We've been a major destination for that investment and have a good system set up to work with you. Joined today by Hank Marshall and others from our economic development team. We have what we call concierge service. So if you want to come to Phoenix, we can work with you, make introductions. If you need to work with multiple parts of the city, or if you need different business partners, want to know what's available on the real estate side, we want to help you thrive in Phoenix. And so we hope that we'll make it a little bit easier. We have resources for really every size of business. So I hope that that is something that will be exciting to you. And we have partners at all levels of government. Arizona is one of the few states in the US with an Asian American woman elected statewide. We also have a legislature that really prioritizes partnerships and international, and Representative Lorenzo Sierra has been a great leader and is also with us here today. So you will have the right partners. I am lucky at the city to have several advisory councils that help us with issues related to Japan and general Pacific Rim relationships, as well as investment in aviation. The City of Phoenix operates Sky Harbor Airport, and if there are any aviation executives who are listening today, we want to work with you. The #1 destination in Asia from Phoenix is Tokyo, and so we're hoping to have partnerships and work to make it even easier to get between our two strong communities. We believe the American future goes right through Arizona, and that if you are investing anywhere, this is the right place to do it. So we hope to make it easy and enjoyable for you to do it. We'd love to introduce you to our Japanese restaurants or take you to the Japanese Friendship Garden that is pictured behind Kelly Moore. It is one of my kids' favorite places in Phoenix. He's particularly loves the koi ponds, but a beautiful, lush place that'll feel like home while you're growing your company in the fastest growing city in the United States. So thank you to all the partners that have made today possible, and thank you for the gift of your time.
Thank you, Mayor Gallego. And as someone who's lived in Tokyo for a number of years and with a high standard for food, and because I'm a bit of a foodie, I can say the Japanese food in the valley is really quite good. There's multiple really good Japanese restaurants. And finally, we got a really outstanding ramen shop. Kind of a bit of a crazy Japanese guy from Osaka opened up a place in Phoenix, the city of Phoenix, called Origami Ramen Bar, which is outstanding and also has ramen or hand rolls from Osaka style, which I wasn't as familiar with, but it's very fresh and amazing. And so thank you, not to get diverted on food. Don't get a foodie started talking about food. But these are things that are critical, I know, for all of us to be able to integrate into a community, is having services and great leaders like Mayor Gallego, but also schooling and education and some recreation as well that suits our needs. So thank you, Mayor Gallego. I think we've got Jeff Shumway, Executive Vice President of Arizona Commerce. Did you have a couple words to say, Jeff?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Sorry, everybody. I could hear all of you, but you couldn't hear or see me, but I'm here now. I'm Jeff Shumway. I'm the Executive Vice President of Business Development at the Arizona Commerce Authority. And I trust you enjoyed learning more about Arizona's advantages from our CEO, Sandra Watson. We want to thank the Global Chamber and the Consul General for the opportunity to meet with all of you today. We're excited for this afternoon's program. And you heard Sandra discuss the many areas of focus for our organization on a global scale, and the full suite of professional services that the Arizona Commerce Authority provides to companies around the world seeking to site operations in the U.S. and we hope in Arizona. The global competition for next generation manufacturing operations, research and development, and other innovation centers of excellence is fierce, and Arizona is competing and winning. And we believe we're winning for a variety of reasons, as referenced in Sandra's comments and others that have made comments thus far. And much of our ability to compete is because of our preparedness as a state and our willingness to lead. We're prepared, as you heard from Sanjeev earlier. We're prepared with a welcoming, cost-effective, pro-business environment. We're prepared to help companies deliver next-gen facilities at a speed not found in most places in the world. I think the most recent example of that would be Lucid Motors. They've built a electric vehicle facility down in Casa Grande, Arizona. From the time that they put a shovel in the ground to the time that they were rolling off vehicles at their factory was under 10 months. So pretty extraordinary, and I think gives all of you an example of just how swiftly we can move here in the state of Arizona. We're prepared to deliver the quality of workforce necessary to support an organization's competitive edge, and we're prepared as business leaders in the private sector, public sectors, and academia to help companies execute not only on finding their ways to launching operations, but achieving their business goals. And there are many examples I could share around that last point, with probably the most recent example, the most high profile example being TSMC's recent commitment to construct their next gen semiconductor fab facility here in the great city of Phoenix. We're grateful to have led that site selection process with Mayor Gallego and her wonderful team at the city of Phoenix, Christine Mackey and the economic development team and staff, and our partners at GPEC, who you'll hear from this afternoon as well. And certainly want to thank Mayor Gallego and her team for all of their tireless focus and support on such a generational opportunity. When we consider the magnitude of a project of that nature, combined with an existing foundational supply chain network and legacy semiconductor ecosystem, Arizona is well positioned to be the distinguished leader in the United States for semiconductor production and research. And our team at the ACA has led the way with our federal partners and on elements associated with the CHIPS Act. We've begun to construct and leading in partnership with private industry a roadmap to locate a national manufacturing institute in Arizona designed to drive innovation and develop the future of advanced technologies. And while the semiconductor industry and its supply chain remain a focus for the ACA, we have taken a very proactive and aggressive approach to reaching out to global companies and other sectors as well. Last year, we began a focused outreach campaign led by Governor Ducey and supported by our team to multiple sectors, the automobile space, aerospace and defense, battery technology, electronics manufacturers, biopharma and medtech. It's been a very successful campaign thus far. We've engaged with and are working with several Japanese firms, and we'll continue that effort in earnest. So in closing, as Sandra suggested in her commentary, we welcome the opportunity to meet with you and your leadership regarding the opportunity in our great state. And we certainly want to thank you again for your time and hope you enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Jeff. We're now going to switch over to two really key people and part of the ecosystem, the economic development ecosystem, led by Chris Camacho, who's the president and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, GPEC. And he's on stage with Stefan Frigia, who's the senior VP of strategy at GPEC. They're going to take about 5 minutes and talk about some of the things that are happening in Arizona that you may be able to connect to. Chris, please go ahead.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Doug, and thank you, Consul General, for your time today and all of the esteemed guests that we have. As Doug mentioned, this is Arizona's Brain Trust. This is our best and brightest, I believe, coming together to showcase to our Japanese counterparts the level of commitment that we have to seeing not only foreign direct investment, but trade relationships continue to evolve. So as Doug alluded to, I'm Chris Camacho, the president and CEO. I have a few short slides I want to run through here quickly. As Jeff mentioned, Arizona is extraordinarily pro-business, and while the ACA works very closely with the governor and the state legislature as the state's economic development organization, our regional economic development group is focused on the 22 cities here in the Metro Phoenix region, led by Mayor Gallego and 21 other mayors, which constitute the fastest growing market in the United States. One of the things that I've been very prideful of, however, in the last 15 years is our pivot towards becoming an innovation-centered economy. So if anyone was here visiting the Grand Canyon or Phoenix or other parts of our state back in the early 2000s, we were the fastest growing from a population-based perspective, but we've really pivoted to be focused on a number of core industries of the future. Number one, aerospace and defense and microelectronics in our legacy healthcare innovation are the 1, 2, and 3 base industries that we have here. But was also referenced, leveraging our solar DNI levels, our natural insulation that we have. Our focus is that we become the top renewable energy market in the United States. And whether that renewable energy is solar, wind, or the use of hydrogen, as you referenced, we believe companies like Nikola Motors and others that are in these advanced sector are forever going to change the way that Western communities evolve. And so at the heart of the evolution of markets is how we intersect with foreign countries, foreign markets, and the Japanese investment profile is distinguished in that regard. So let's go ahead to the next slide. So just a quick, view down history lesson here. We've had 31 years of existence in a nonpartisan, non-political organization, and have supported over 850 new companies that have entered the area. And the Metro Phoenix region boasts about 5 million people. I looked at our numbers today. Over 300 companies globally are looking at Metro Phoenix for investment, but equally as important, 18 of those projects exceed $100 million of investment individually. And so what we're seeing is, as Jeff and Sandra and the mayor referenced, this is a new horizon for our state. Different from the days of tourism and visiting the Grand Canyon and leveraging sunshine and a great quality of life, which we still afford ourselves. But in addition to that, we are the most dynamic growth economy in the United States. So any young company, any legacy company looking to take advantage of the US or even Mexican supply chains, there's not a better place in the Western US to do so. Go ahead. So one of the key service models that we offer, and you can see here, I'm not going to read through them and I'll leave this for you, but we are keen to work with companies from around the world, help them go through the site selection and due diligence process. We've been known as being one of the top economic development shops in the United States by the International Economic Development Council just this last year. And a lot of that recognition is driven back to companies that we've had the pleasure of working with, whether it was the Taiwan Semiconductor Project that we had the pleasure of working with our state partners and regional and city partners on, or working with companies like Lucid and Nikola and many others that have had success growing here. It really comes down to the data preparation, the infrastructure process, as well as the facilitation that we have with our market. So the mayor is not only the best spokesman in the market, but she works hand in hand with the city management, the development services team to ensure that what's promised to a company is executed in ample timeframes that ensure that the company meets their occupancy needs. And that's very important in today's speed to market necessity of global companies. So go ahead. So we've already referenced the ties, so I'm not going to go through the data here with Japan and Arizona and Japan and the United States, but I serve on the International Advisory Council, formerly for Secretary Pritzker back in the Obama administration, but also to Secretary Ross under the Trump administration. And now under the guise of the new president, we will be working with the new Commerce Secretary on advisement of how we better link up with foreign markets. And that's everything from crystallizing the position like policies like the CHIPS Act to continue to enhance some of the tax and treasury decisions that were made back in 2017, as well as opening up foreign market offices to leverage both trade and foreign direct investment opportunities. So what we've observed, both Stefan and I, who's my senior vice president here at GPEC, the strategy for the Japanese, or from the Japanese leadership you see on the bottom left, are a number of these key industry opportunities that are naturally welled into what Greater Phoenix is doing as a region. So you'll see some of these, and I won't go through each of them, but the mayor referenced, we have over $4 billion of investment going into the biomedical sector here in the Metro Phoenix market, just in biomed alone. The Smart Cities effort, we have a regional initiative called the Connective, which is a 22 set number of cities and private industry coming together to adopt smart technologies at scale. So instead of having one city work on smart technology adoption, we've advanced 22 cities working together in the fastest growing region in the United States to adopt smart technologies and even test and validate new immersive technologies. In addition, we're growing in clean tech at unparalleled levels. You've seen our utilities adopt solar and other renewable energies at scale, while the governor has supported both fintech, blockchain, and other regulatory sandboxes that enable global companies to come and test and validate their technologies with Arizona consumers. And both, I think the mayor referenced this, as well as Senator Sinema and Senator Kelly, that we are a place that embraces innovation. We're a place that wants to take innovation to scale. And having California as our next door neighbor in the 5th largest global economy in terms of global size, we're able to leverage that strategic partnership and access to the California market and the northern Mexican supply chains as what I would refer to as the new America's Triangle. So if there's Asian firms that are wanting to access the US market, there's not a better location to lever up all of these supply chains to the company's benefit. Okay, I think one final slide here, maybe two. So the final 2 slides here reference our intentional plan to become the global hub for microelectronics. Now, obviously, we're playing on the heels of tremendous success with Intel and Microchip and onsemi, NXP, and many other global companies. But we also see this, the importance of the embedded sector with not only TSMC, but other firms that are in our pipeline that are looking at advancing everything from wearable technologies to 5G to biomedical devices. The future is going to be, and already is, connected in a unique way. So beyond electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, IoT devices, our kind of unique position as Greater Phoenix and the state of Arizona is that our pro-business attitude, our ability to leverage up ASU and Thunderbird, which was talked about earlier, but also the ability to scale up your enterprise. Very few places can you do that with a pro-business condition. And so we're going to be doubling down on becoming this microelectronics hub, as Jeff alluded to, working closely with our senators and other senators across the country. We hope that Arizona becomes a hub where next generation devices are also tested. So go ahead. And finally, we've partnered with Dr. Michael Crow as well. I guess 2 more slides. I would refer to, if you'd like to visit our website, which is gpec.org, Greater Phoenix Economic Council.org, you'll see that there's 13 different use cases for every kind of operational use that a company would consider. You can get a quick pull down to every kind of level set of information on labor, tax, cost, real estate, and so forth that will help you analyze the market. And then finally, in partnership with Dr. Michael Crow, we've launched this what's called a Global Growth Accelerator. If you go to the next slide, one of our keen innovation campuses here in Scottsdale, Arizona, is a hub for emerging commerce. We've worked with them on providing a soft landing spot for foreign companies into Arizona, providing complimentary office space, connecting to those individuals in the MBA program, but also the over 25,000 engineering students at Arizona State University. We've created this platform that will enable foreign companies to quickly access labor and quickly tie to our university segment and allow their companies to come and test and validate their technology in the US with US partners. So that's just a short kind of brief overview of the market. If anyone is interested as a follow-up, we have about 50 case studies of companies that we've worked with and how we've worked with them, companies from Apple to Microsoft to many others that have had success operating here. And we're happy to furnish that kind of information to any company that's interested in exploring investing here in Greater Phoenix. So with that, I will hand it back to you, Doug, and thank you very much for the opportunity to visit with you today.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it. We're now going to segue into the section where we're actually going to hear from 3 Japanese-based companies that are in Arizona and have experience in Arizona. They're going to be talking about the business activities they've been involved with. The first speaker is Mr. Yuichi Mitsumori. He is the head of Japanese corporate banking with MUFG Union Bank. And Mitsumori-san, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dad. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yuichi Mitsumori, as introduced, head of Japanese corporate banking in the MUFG Union Bank, and also head of Los Angeles branch, MUFG Bank. Today, it's really honor to participate in this program, and I'm very highly appreciated opportunity to present how MUFG is committed to state of Arizona today. Let me start by introducing who we are, what MUFG is. MUFG Union Bank, the U.S. banking arm, one of the leading financial groups, Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, whose abbreviation is MUFG. Headquartered in Tokyo and with over 360 years of history. MUFG has a global network with around 2,600 locations in more than 50 countries. The group has over 180,000 employees and offers services including commercial banking, trust banking, securities, credit cards, consumer finance, asset management, and leasing. In the United States, MUFG Union Bank, mainly based in California and other West Coast states, serves our corporate and investment banking clients under the MUFG brand, and consumer wealth and commercial banking clients under the Union Bank brand. Sorry for saying the Union Bank brand is based in the West Coast states, and MUFG brand is a very global operating, not only the West Coast, but in the East Coast and Midwest as well. Our colleagues are committed to propel a better financial future of our clients, community, and industry across the United States. Next slide, please. Sorry, for putting the small letter on the slides, which indicates the history of Union Bank, MUFG Union Bank. MUFG has more than 150 years of history providing financial solutions to our clients in the United States. Our business today is the result of the number of the past mergers among successful banks. The earliest predecessor being the establishment in 1864 of the Bank of California in California. In 1880, another precursor, the Yokohama Species Bank, based in Japan, opened for the business in New York, securing an international foothold that has become the basis for MUFG's current global presence. By the second decade of the 20th century, it has established a network of representative offices in almost all the major trading centers in the Pacific region and the world financial capitals, including a city in the United States. Next slide, please. This indicates MUFG journey in the Americas. Particularly after 2008, we expanded the business in the United States. Since our corporate and investment banking was formed and the Union Bank became a fully owned subsidiary of MUFG in 2008, we have grown organically and through a number of acquisitions to be what we are today. Our recent milestones include the 2040 integration of the United States banking operations, as well as the 2015 appointment of Mr. Steve Cummings, the first locally hired American CEO to lead our total US business, which is now being popular among Japanese companies. But at that time, it was a remarkable progress for a Japanese company to delegate the authority to a local hired CEO. So let me touch upon why we choose Arizona. Now let me share some background on how MUFG decided to build a hub in the Grand Canyon State. Previously, excluding the Union Bank employees, roughly 90% of our employees were in so-called high-cost geography, such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York. And we strive to remain competitive. It was very natural for MUFG to reveal its organizational effectiveness and geographic presence. Arizona was very attractive as introduced, not only because of low cost and tax incentives, but also support from the stable government, strong talent pool, access to good local university, and a nice culture for employees to enjoy. Our data center and some Union Bank's facility were already in Arizona, so MUFG had familiarity with Arizona, which also helped. Next slide, please. This is overview of MUFG in Arizona. Since 2013, MUFG's growth in Arizona has skyrocketed from fewer than 100 mortgage operation data center employees to more than 1,240 employees in 2019. We expected to expand the base in 2021 to 1,800, but now a little bit delayed due to the COVID-19. But we definitely keep thinking this plan as to become the stable base in Arizona. In January 2018, we opened our new operational hub in Arizona called Phoenix Grants in Tempe that houses operations, IT, HR, and risk functions. By the end of calendar year 2021, as mentioned, we anticipate the number of colleagues will continue to increase. Our annual investment in Arizona more than quadrupled compared to 7 years ago. I think it's a very amazing investment, amazing hiring in Arizona, which is a commitment to the state. Our Arizona business leaders work closely with local nonprofit organizations as well to thoughtfully expand the bank's community engagement activities and further advance the important work underway by our corporate social responsibility team. Our nonprofit partner in Arizona include the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, the Sandra Day O'Connell Institute, the Heart Museum, and the Musical Instrument Museum. Arizona's colleagues are also very active in volunteerism and inclusion and diversity initiatives, which are most important initiatives in MUFG. Now, finally, we just touch upon what we expect from the state government. Now, let's talk about the Japanese business in general. I'm certain the trend will continue for Japanese companies to look for opportunities outside of Japan. With aging population and low birth rate, there's not much expectation for the major domestic Japanese market to grow further. Many Japanese corporations are turning to the United States and Asia for the growth potential. My team often received inquiries from Japanese corporate clients looking into the possibility entering or expanding in the U.S. market. And these includes how the companies should enter into the market of Arizona as well. The biggest hurdle for now is a lack of information or local regulation tax information in Arizona, or difficulty accessing such information. It doesn't need to be offered in Japanese, although that would be even better. But when Japanese companies choose a location for their new US ventures, they will like to drop those states where they cannot figure out how to find the lawyers, accountants to gather sufficient information and perform due diligence. So I think that making information easily accessible together with government initiatives will greatly help encourage more Japanese business to choose Arizona as their first US home. As a banking partner, even we located in the West Coast majorly, but we covered Arizona as well. MUFG is committed to support our clients throughout their journeys into the market and thereafter. And of course, continuous dialogue, just like what we have today, is essential to nurture Arizona-Japanese partnership for decades to come. For that, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Let's continue this conversation. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening and paying attention.
Itsumori-san, arigatou gozaimashita. Our next speaker is the president of IRIS USA, Hiroki Takahashi. Takahashi-san, please, your intro.
Hi, thank you, David-san. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be able to speak here today. My name is Hiroyuki Dr. Takahashi, and I'm the president of the IRIS USA. Today, it's our privilege to get to share with everyone about our company, the IRIS Group, and especially IRIS USA. IRIS was founded in Japan in 1971 by our current chairman, Kentaro Oyama, who in just one generation has seen us grow to our $6.1 billion group. There have been many trying circumstances in our history. However, we have always emphasized flexibility in the face of change, and we have persevered and grown through these trials. Currently, coronavirus pandemic is causing turbulence in the marketplace, but we are accelerating our global expansion even further. I'm afraid my English is still not perfect, so I'd like to hand the presentation over to our Vice President and my next door neighbor, Ryan Anderson. Please.
Yes, that's correct. I'm Doc's next door neighbor. I'm going to take a few minutes here and introduce you to not only the business in Japan, but also our vision of bringing this business here to the United States and specifically here in Arizona. So as we look at this, as Doc mentioned, we started in 1970 as a subcontractor, and the main thing here was focusing on the fishing industry with buoy. And as the oil industry and the crisis hit, we pivoted. And so as you look at this slide, you'll see our various trajectory and how we innovated to the environment that was around us. So in the 80s, it was the oil, and that's when we moved into gardening and into pet items. And then 1990s, people started moving towards home and home innovation. In 2000, that's when we started venturing inside of household appliances and small appliances, consumer goods with LED lights. And then in 2010, with the ontake of the earthquake that took place and part of the heart of the tsunami that took place near our headquarters, we changed and tried to help out in Japan in areas that had need. So we pivoted at that time to more of the consumer lights. Also started making rice. And then in 2020, now we're sitting in the middle of our current innovation, and that is with masks, and then also with thermal care and desk screening. So with each decade has come a pivoting to the way that we change things. And a lot of that is based on the background and the heart of IRIS. So as Doc mentioned, we're a $6.5 billion business globally. We have 29 group companies throughout the world. With that, we have 33 factories around the world, and then 70 different locations. With that, we can see that the red line indicates the amount of business we're starting to reach outside of Japan. And so again, this becomes a major focus for us as we look. Currently, we sell about 25,000 products in Japan. And that's with, as it mentions here, about 60% of that 25,000 are brand new items over the last 3 years. So this kind of gives you a vision of what we're trying to bring here to the United States, because as we work towards that, we have a lot of different resources and capabilities that we can reach out to throughout the world. But it's also, how can we bring some of that business locally to the consumer? And specifically, as we look at our expansion throughout the United States. We are also looking at different types of categories that we can help support, not only in China, but also bringing some of this here to the United States. We'll talk here in a bit about how we're bringing some of this technology here and bringing it local. The biggest focus as we look is, how do we help the consumer? So as we look at the consumer in their own environment, this right here points out all the various different products that we're have access to, that as we look at expansion, as we look at going into home appliances, more home appliances, and then also looking at smart technology and how we can bring that to the consumer. We're always trying to look for that next innovation, and once again, how we bring this stuff here to the United States. And furthermore, then develop it here in the United States. As we look at what another area that we have focused on is our B2B business. And we have anything that we can work on, from factories to warehouses to offices, commercial facilities and public facilities, anywhere from the seating to the ceilings to about anything. In fact, we are helping out drastically as we are seeing some of the changes in the environment with the pandemic that's going on right now, and sourcing some of those items. So that's the vision of what we're trying to bring here to the United States. We're currently a $170 million business. We have 4 locations, our headquarters right here in Surprise, Arizona. But our largest facility in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, was our previous headquarters. It was very attractive for us from a location standpoint to come here to Arizona for many reasons that have been addressed up to this point. But this is the main piece that I'd probably drive home, that when we show the 25,000 number to our customers, such as Amazon and our partners, when they see that we only have 2,000 here in the United States, they're trying to figure out how we bring these to the United States. So we're partnering with lots of major companies to try to hurry and bring those to the United States and finding success. And likewise, launching new items in the same capacity that we do over in Japan. Last year was our first, or our fourth facility, pardon me. We invested $120 million in the Pennsylvania facility. And as we look at expansion, we are actually going to be expanding and almost doubling our capacity here in the IRIS USA headquarters in Surprise. So again, with 200 employees and with that growing, we are excited about, again, the human capital that we have here in Arizona and the access we have to be able to grow over the next couple of years. We, here in the United States, the majority of our facilities have been centered around plastic injection molding. Again, this is a very fun thing. When things lift, we'd love to have people come and visit. This is an exciting technology. I always tell my kids, stop watching how it's made. Why don't you come on over and I'll I'll give you a one-on-one tour of what we do. So we do our plastic injection molding here. And as we look at what we're trying to do over the next couple of years, again, these are our fans, our home appliances have been manufactured over in China. We're looking to bring some of that here into the United States. So as you can see here, our business model is once we find that success and find that speed and work with our partners, how quickly can we bring that product here into the United States and manufacture right here in Arizona. The interesting thing is when we opened up and came down here to Arizona, we ended up with some extra space in our Wisconsin facility. And as things changed, we have been making masks for many, many years over in China. So we brought those capabilities here to the United States. And we did it very quickly. This isn't a flash in the pan thing for us. We're looking for a long-term partnership with this product. So we brought machines over to the United States, and we have the capacity now to make about 1 billion masks. And so again, as we're looking at this is how we're responding to what's going on around here, and we're going to continue to do so. The next step that we're going to be looking at is robotics. This particular one of the neat things is as we're looking around at the needs in the area, I think there was an article recently about here in Surprise, they're using drones to do cleaning of the Surprise facilities for spring training. Well, here's a very similar concept. The idea here is that, and I think if I click the video, let's see if it'll work. What this does is it actually will go around and sanitize. So again, we're going to be bringing this concept, this idea here to the United States. We will prove this out and then look at what we can do to localize that as well. The other thing that we love to do here in Arizona is our community outreach. Again, we do the warehouse sales. We partner up with the spring training, not just here in Surprise, but also over at Sloan Park with the Cubs. And then also donations. And again, I would open up that conversation to anyone that's on here that have any needs with regards to the masks or anything that we can help out with. We're here to support. We're here to do what we can here in this community. I'd like to thank you all, and I appreciate the time.
Ryan, thank you. And Takahashi Shacho, arigato gozaimashita. We now have our final speaker, and it's Dr. Yasuhiro Matsuya. So Matsui-san, please go ahead from Yokogawa Electric.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will join this seminar from Tokyo, Japan. So I believe I'm sharing now my slide.
It looks good. We're all set.
Okay. Thank you. So I join in from Tokyo, so hope I can control remotely from Tokyo. So please permit me if there is a time lag. Okay, anyway, thank you for inviting me to these sessions, business activities of Japanese companies, and appreciate Consulate General of Japan, Los Angeles, for coordinate of this seminar. Thank you very much. So Yokogawa Electric Corporations has over 100 years history and developing electronic products and services and solutions to diverse range of process industry. And the co-innovates with customers through a global network over 100 companies spanning 60 and more countries, and generating $3.8 billion in sales, has approximately 18,000 employees. So in Tucson, Arizona, we start our new visions for digital transformations within portable reuse industry that improve the quality of human life by more reliable and efficiency in the water recycling. So I prepared a video clip, make a corporate introduction in 2 minutes. Please see it. Thank you.
For over 100 years, Yokogawa has served to bring together technology and industry. Yokogawa has won global recognition as a provider of solutions for the control of non-stop, mission-critical processes. Our customers can also look to us to provide support over the entire life cycle of their plant facilities. Under the Oprex brand, we offer superior technologies and services. We help transform customers' business processes and sustain the creation of value. The Life Innovation business builds on the experience of our industrial automation and control business by integrating cutting-edge cell imaging and other core technologies to develop diverse solutions for basic research, manufacturing, logistics, and services in the pharmaceutical and food industries. Yokogawa has a global network of over 100 companies in 60 countries. These companies have strong local roots and work closely with our customers around the world. Through its businesses, Yokogawa is working towards a world in which we can live sustainably. Co-innovating tomorrow, with the aim of making this a better world for future generations. Yokogawa continually engages in the co-creation of new value with its customers.
Yokogawa. Okay, thank you for attention. I move back to my slide. So, this is a sheet of the water stress in the United States. So it's a general information, increasing population and decreasing precipitations, bring water shortage. Phoenix and Tucson in Arizona are ranking at the most severe water stress, facing droughts in recorded history, struggling with the depression of Colorado River. And with reductions in excess Central Arizona project water supplies and increased probability of Colorado River shortage, the Arizona Water Banking Authority is transitions to its next phase, focusing on making its long-term shortage credit available to mitigate potential shortage. The CAP canal starts at the western edge of Arizona State, is series of aqueduct, channels, pumps, and the pipeline 300 miles away that transports water from Lake Mead and Colorado River to Phoenix and Tucson cities. More than 5 million people rely on CAP, the largest source of renewable water in Arizona. Over the distance, the water actually travels uphill about 3,000 vertical feet. CAP moves more than 1.3 billion gallons per day. It's around 5 million cubic meters per day. To lift all the water, CAP operators manage 150 giant pumps along the systems, huge energy consumed. Arizona Water Banking Association will shift its focus to credit distributions and making its long-term storage credit available to mitigate potential shortage. The University of Arizona is located in Tucson at the end point of CAP. It challenges water reuse approach with groundwater research and water conservation, where an ideal research platform to develop new concepts and technology related to renewable water and energy. It facilitates water and energy sustainable technology. We call it West Center, with collaboration of Pima County and the Tucson cities. Both utilities provide more practical topics and issues to implement the water reclamation project. The West Center is surrounded with water reclamation facilities operated by Tucson Water and Pima County. It's easy to get actual water sample for experiment purposes. It enables to study water reclamation system at full scale. The Water Campus presents training and education for young water professionals in the future. It is an ideal and sustainable campaign to foster human resource through research efforts. Water Campus in West Center is a research platform with world-class researchers, PhD, and young water professionals in candidate. They are able to operate full-scale conventional treatment systems and advanced water treatment facilities. We share research and development and pass with research output into presentations and journals. So this is my presentation. I'd like to conclude. I'd like to highlight on importance and the value of investment in water education to foster young water professionals, to maintain existing water infrastructures and develop new technology for emerging issues in the future. Yokogawa and University of Arizona are exploring together to validate new indicator of safe water in water reuse. Yokogawa invests on research topics, more direct detections of pathogens from water. It should give confidence in potable water production. In addition, potentially reduce response retention time in water storage system. Thank you for collaboration and support from Japanese government, the Ministry of Economic Trade and Industry. Thank you very much for your support. We will continue our collaboration until success and welcome your involvement if you're interested in. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Dr. Matsuya. Very interesting conversation. We are going to shift now into the Q&A, and we are planning to finish at the bottom of the hour. Just for your own planning purposes, I also want to say that the video for this program is recorded and will be available afterwards. Perhaps some of the presentations may be as well. If you have any questions and want to get in touch with anyone, please send an email to info@globalchamber.org. And I'll say that email later in the program as well. We only do have about 7 minutes overall to go. So we only have maybe a couple questions, but I want to ask one question of you, Dr. Matsuya, in particular, because you maybe uniquely have some view of the rest of Arizona. You're down, I think, in Tucson most of the time. So I'm wondering kind of your perspective of, you know, Phoenix versus Tucson, and what's been kind of your experience in southern Arizona, closer to the Mexico border. How do you like it down there?
Yeah, I love it. Unfortunately, in this 1 year, I don't have any chance to be back to Tucson. So frankly, I was educating young water professionals over 3 years in the University of Arizona in the Tucson. So extremely hot and hottest. This is 3 seasons year round. So in particular, we feel the importance of the waters, sustainable waters in the futures. To pass with the sustainable water, need to foster and grow the young water professional. It is not too short term, needs to taking a time. So it means that spend the time 1, 2, 3 years and gradually transform the knowledge to the local people based upon Japanese technology partially. Of course, in US, you have a great knowledge, then mix up for best technology in the southern part of Arizona. Thank you very much.
Oh, Doug, could I just jump in here with something funny? You know, we were at the Tanque Verde Dude Ranch in Tucson this past weekend. And we got there on Friday, it was sunny and 70, started raining in the night. And the next morning there were 6 inches of snow. And it was unbelievable. So there's some fascinating things happening with the climate. So we're really grateful to Dr. Matsuya for his, for what they're doing in terms of helping us with our climate issues and water issues.
Yeah. So in particular, midsummers, Mount Lemon. Do you know Mount Lemon?
Yes, exactly.
I love Mount Lemon.
So have you climbed up there? Is that what you do some hiking up there maybe?
Yeah. So in particular, summertime, this is a great resort in the midsummer.
Gotcha. Great.
Yeah, downtown is more than 100 Fahrenheit, but the peak of the Mount Lemon is around 60 or 50, around that. Very nice.
One of the discoveries of Arizona, right? A little higher elevation changes the temperature dramatically, doesn't it? I wonder if I could ask Mitsumori-san and also Takahashi Shacho of your experience too with Arizona. What has been your biggest surprise? And that's maybe a pun as well, given that Iris is in the surprise Arizona. But what have been some of the things that you've discovered that maybe you didn't expect? Presumably positive, but if there's been anything other, please let us know. Either Mitsumori-san or Takahashi Shacho.
Yeah, okay, I take it first. I was so surprised when firstly visited Arizona to prepare for opening the office in 2017. I made a research that how many expected employees can be hired for mitigating our operation, because as I mentioned, we only had operation less than 100 persons. But if we shift our operation from New Jersey to Arizona, we need to hire more than 1,000 employees who needs to be eligible for responding to their operation quickly and efficiently, to communicate with Japan and domestic US as well. So we need to find the employees who are quickly corresponding to the request and also independently thinking of how they can operate. As also at the junior level, we need to hire a chunk of the person of operating and function. So from this perspective, I need to be having the interview to find some of the mid-aged persons who needs to be who become the managers, and also the chunk of the younger generation to do the operation. Fortunately, in Greater Phoenix, I didn't have any knowledge of hiring so eligible persons from the area, because I had an image that I visited Phoenix, and also when visited the Thunderbirds to whether or not I should go to the school, but solely for saying that I could not choose just the school at that moment. But
well, we can still have you, sir, and the door is wide open.
Thank you very much. From that image, that I personally think it's very difficult to find a chunk of the persons that who eligible for operation. But fortunately, we made a conclusion of shifting the operation, because we were able to find a chunk of the groups of the person. So as a conclusions, I was surprised that Arizona had so talented persons, and also so chunk of generations to be hired. Also, the state government provided an incentive with us. So Japanese company may had a chance of choosing one of the candidates if they think of investing in the States. Thank you.
Fantastic. Great feedback. That's wonderful. Takahashi Shacho, how about you? What have been some of the learnings and surprises that you've had out in Surprise?
Yeah, please answer. Please, Ryan, answer.
Oh, okay. Ryan, would you like to answer, please?
I think, for time's sake, I think we'd probably echo what was just said. I think there's been a lot of benefits, moving here. I think that we have had a lot of expats come and visit here, been extremely impressed. I mean, I look outside my window and see a number of them, and several of them have actually, brought their families over here. So that they can experience life here with all the benefits that they have. I think, as it was mentioned by Kelly Moore earlier, that there's some things that here in Arizona that allow them to still stay local and have some of those local benefits, but at the same time experience, some of the benefits here in the United States. So I think all of that kind of speaks for itself.
Sounds good. You brought up family, and I happen to be neighbors. You guys mentioned neighbors earlier. I happen to be neighbors with someone from Sojitz, big trading company in Japan, and his wife They had a baby in Arizona a couple years ago, almost 2 years ago, and then they just had twins. And so they've had 3 children here in Scottsdale, and they're really loving it. I don't think Uchida-san is on the call today, but I know he wanted to be here. And so I know that, you know, Japanese families, from a healthcare perspective and a lifestyle perspective, seem to like it. What about things like golf? Are there any golfers amongst the companies that have landed in Arizona? And what's your sensibility around the availability of, you know, getting out in the sunshine?
So Doc mentioned our owner. He has pinpointed some of his investments based on golf. I think we'd all be lying if we didn't say that your point on good food and your point on golf is a big benefit for him.
Everything makes a difference, right, Brian? Right. Everything makes a difference.
Exactly.
So, sounds good. Any other comments regarding lifestyle or, you know, related to that side of it from the companies? And if not, that's okay. Since we're running a little bit over on time, I'd like to circle back with a couple people, Sanjeev, you being one of them, and Chris Camacho being another. Yeah, I wonder if you, either of you, could maybe within just a couple minutes, maybe add any additional comments based on what you've heard today, and as we begin to wrap up the program today.
Chris, please, after you, my friend.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks again for everyone joining us. And I would tell you this, I serve as one of the Thunderbirds, not Sanjeev's Thunderbirds, but a different Thunderbird, where we host the Waste Management Phoenix Open Golf Tournament, which is about 700,000 fans that come from around the world to this PGA event in February. And so if anyone is interested in seeing what we call the greatest golf event on grass, come out and see us, because it's certainly a fun time, beautiful time in Arizona, and I'd love to host you while we're out there. We raise about $14 million for local charities through that event, so a little plug there. But in addition to that, I think it's been shared by a number of the companies that have decided to move here over the last several years that, you know, we in Arizona treat our newcomers as family. And in addition to that, you know, we continue to be the partners of companies. You know, particularly I've had personal experience with MUFG and with Iris over the last 10 years, along with Stefan. And we are so proud to have you as neighbors and friends and family. And as companies come to Arizona, you will continue to be embraced. And we're going to help you be successful, whether that's finding talent, getting connected to universities, helping your expats if they want to move to market. We help with visas, we help with schools. You know, that's what we do, and that's the culture that we are, because we do have 70% of our adults living in Arizona are from somewhere else. So it's kind of a melting pot of new people, and we're very proud of that. And so we'd welcome anything we can do to make your experience here more hospitable. That's what we're here for. So thank you, Doug, and thank you, Consul General, for organizing this effort. And if you want to go to our website, like I said, gpec.org, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Dean Cogram, any closing comments?
First of all, thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Consul General, for taking the time and continuing to be our incredible partners. I wanted to say 3 or 4 things. First of all, Chris, I live at the Phoenix Country Club. We love that waste management golf tournament. We just want the Thunderbird School to be one of the charities that that get some of those wonderful resources so we can have more scholarships. I also want to say that for all of our incredible Japanese companies, ASU, of course, more generally, but Thunderbird with our students from all over the world, so many countries, including increasingly, again, remarkable, fantastic students from Japan, thanks to our Tokyo Regional Center and the new partnership with Hiroshima. There's a great source of talent, so please do look to us. And then this great global headquarters, which we're going to open up in July and have the grand opening for in November. There is this wonderful place, right, Doug, on the 5th floor called the Thunderbird Pub, which we understand, we believe to be the next great meeting place of all things global in the city of Phoenix. And so we'd like to welcome all of our great friends from Japan, all our Japanese companies in the state, and of course, all of our local friends and partners and family to join us for that celebration, and at the pub to continue to build great deals and partnerships for many years to come. Thank you for your leadership, Doug.
And right back at you. Thank you very much. Consul General Muto, would you like to say some closing remarks, please?
Well, I would like to resonate to what all the leaders mentioned today about the talents of the Arizona. You really have excellent talents here. On the idea I mentioned about the forming a global standard for the utilization of hydrogen is something I first ever heard of when I visited Arizona. So there's lots of new ideas here. So we look forward to working with the great talents in Arizona. So let's keep in touch and let's promote further collaborations.
Thank you, Consul General. And there have been some questions. We'll handle them separately. Thank you, Representative Sierra, for your question about TPP. That's probably an entire Globinar.
That's another Globinar, Doug, for sure. Another Globinar.
What do we do next with TPP, right? In trade. So that's a little bit more complicated question than we can handle here, but undoubtedly we all have some opinions and we'd love to be able to bring that all up. I would like to thank everybody for speaking today. Kelly Moore, you're extraordinary in all the work and leadership that you've done for the community in Arizona. We celebrate all the work you've done over these decades to help build the bridge between Japan and Arizona. And thanks everyone for speaking today and participating. We really do appreciate it. Trade is important for the world. It creates wealth, but it also does something different and better, and I think ultimately, in that we put a dent in the world with every sale, with every export, and that dent can be very positive because we create understanding across borders. And I think one of the things that I've learned about Arizona, I'm a New Yorker, I've lived in Japan, and I've lived in, traveled to 49 states and 65 countries. And one of the things I've learned over that time is that we're fundamentally the same, as people. And I think as we do trade, we understand that more and more. And so I think it's one of the great things that I've noticed about Arizona is that people are from different places. As it was noted earlier, a majority of people in Arizona are from somewhere else. And that makes it a unique place, a very special place, because they've had a life experience somewhere else and they're very welcoming. And so it is a very welcoming state. And I think it's particularly welcoming for Asia and Asian companies. And I think also especially for Japanese companies, as you've seen today. So let's work together. Let's find ways to improve trade, because that does improve understanding. We are, as Sanjeev mentioned, and as Mayor Gallego mentioned, positioning Phoenix as the global hub. And when I started the activities that we've been doing in Arizona, that was not even kind of that would be a joke 10 years ago. And now, even though most people don't know what Arizona is or what it stands for, those of us here recognize that that's now realistic, because we have leaders like Sanjeev and Mayor Gallego and the senators that we have that have a sensibility around international, and leaders like Chris Camacho, who have been reaching out for many, many years to pull people in to be successful. So thanks to them. Thanks to you for listening today. And as I said, let's continue forward and let's grow together. Thanks from the Global Chamber. Thanks for everybody here on the call. Have a great, wonderful rest of your Friday in Japan. Wherever you're zooming in from, have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Take care, everybody.